So yeah, going back to this idea that data is important, and oftentimes in businesses we fixate on metrics. In the data science world, we fixate on the F1 score, but really it's the data quality that matters. That's going to move the needle for your business more than an F1 score. I come from a finance background. In finance, we have a saying that cash is king. Why is cash king? Because cash is liquid, it's valuable, it's fungible. But cash sitting in a bank account does nothing unless you're okay with earning the prevailing interest rate. No. It's not cash is king, it's cash flow is king. It's what you do with that cash, the activities that it enables for you to go out and hire the talent you need to hire, invest in different products to deliver valuable services. And then, of course, the cash comes back to you when customers pay, and then you reinvest in the business. It's really cash flow is king. It's not cash is king. And I would extend that to data. It's not data that is valuable, data sitting in a warehouse, data sitting in a data lake. That's a valuable asset. It's what you plan to do with that data, what you're going to use it for, how it fits within your product vision. The other idea I want to borrow from finance is this idea of time value of money. So very simple concept. All it means is that a dollar today is worth more than a dollar tomorrow. Why? Because of inflation, because of the risk premium, because of opportunity costs. I think you can extend that to data as well. Think about the time value of data. Often the greatest value of data is when it's first generated. So how do you move that data to the right person or the right process at the right time and place? Those are some of the questions that leaders should be thinking about when building their products. How can they reduce the time to insight? How can they get that to the end user as quickly as possible? Because that's when it's most valuable. But the point here is roughly mid 2022. After April 2022, the number of open source models starts to increase substantially compared to the proprietary models. So in terms of implementation, if you were going to build a domain-specific LLM, what would you do? So you'd have to select an open source LLM and apply this technique of transfer learning. This, we believe, is kind of an underused technique. There's a lot of talk about fine-tuning. But in this particular case, transfer learning is basically taking a set of your data and applying it to an open source. And the other thing I want to point out is that this process can be structured, iterative, and repeatable. And of course, if you're in business, you like processes that are structured, iterative, and repeatable.
One of the biggest applications that we're seeing LLMs used for is for retrieval augmented generation, or RAGs. And essentially what this is it's a prompt engineering technique where you include with your prompt documents from your own internal knowledge base so that the LLM generates responses that prioritize the content from your internal knowledge base. And so RAGs are great for, very strategic search or different types of investigation, especially on large data sets. Especially if you do have some kind of internal knowledge base or some sort of rich data. And they're also used to improve summarization and sort of real-time generation. And to get LLMs, more current, right? Because you can submit current information and say prioritize these documents rather than other documents. So just an example of how you might ensure that your LLMs are well customized to your organization and to your product vision. And you might say, okay, well, now the model is trained on my data, so shouldn't it produce text or produce images that are related to my data because I've trained it on my data? What the RAG does is it prioritizes the information in the response specifically for that query, right? So you could sort of think of it as, going to a research assistant or a research associate at your business, dumping a bunch of documents on their desk and saying, please summarize this for my board meeting tomorrow, right? So even though that research assistant does have domain knowledge, has been trained on all of your business activities, that pile of documents that you're specifically asking them to summarize is like the primary thing that they're going to be looking at when they come up with their response or their generation.